check.
Did you want to get everyone's attention, or do you want me to? Hi, everyone. We're about to get started. If everyone can finish up their refreshments and start to get seated. Hi, everyone. All right. Thanks. So on behalf of TPL, I would like to welcome all of you to Behind Five Willows book launch and Korean Heritage Celebration for Asian Heritage Month. And I'll just read out the land acknowledgement to get us started. North York Central Library is on indigenous land. This is the traditional land of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, also known as the Six Nations Confederacy, the Wendat and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Toronto Public Library gratefully acknowledges these indigenous nations for their guardianship of this land. We'd also like to remind and reaffirm, as Torontonians and Canadians, our accountability to these indigenous nations and to all indigenous peoples and communities living in Toronto. This land is also part of the Dish with One Spoon territory, a treaty between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Anishinaabeg, and allied nations to peaceably share and care for this land, its waters, and all of the biodiversity in the Great Lakes region. All those who come to live and work here are responsible for honoring this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janet Sun. I'll be your MC for this evening. Thank you so much for the Toronto Public Library for leading us in that land acknowledgement and welcoming us into this space, and for making this Asian Heritage Month event possible. And a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us via live stream. We're very happy that you could join us. And if you can scan the QR code here, you will see the program for tonight's evening. Tonight celebrates the launch of Behind Five Willows, June Hur's latest novel. And North York is more than just the setting for tonight's evening. It's where June has lived most of her life, and she's also worked in the Toronto Public Library system, and still returns to this library for Pansori classes and writing time. So in a lot of ways, this evening brings together so many aspects of June's work, Korean history, literature, community, and home. And on a personal note, it's my great honor and privilege that I was asked to MC this evening. June is a good friend, and we both study literature at the University of Toronto. And one thing I've always really admired about her is how she really follows her curiosity in her writing. And from early interest in British historicals to becoming now today's one of the most distinctive voices in Korean historical fiction. And tonight's book and event really just feels like a beautiful meeting of these worlds. So thank you all for being here. And to help us kick off tonight's celebration, I'd love to invite City Councillor for Willowdale, Lily Chang, to the stage. Welcome, Councillor Chang. And we'd actually also like to invite up June to the stage as well.
Who is excited to be here? Let's hear some noise. June, you spend hours and hours by yourself, imagining places that you're going to take all of us. And this is the culmination of a long journey of perseverance. And so it is my honor here to congratulate you. You climbed this mountain, and we didn't have to spend those hours by ourselves writing this book, but here we are standing on the peak of this mountain, cheering you on of the release of your 5th novel. And this comes at such a pivotal moment when Korean culture is really coming to the forefront. Earlier this month, I got to attend a presentation of A Key to the City to Maggie Kong, who is also a Korean Canadian from Toronto, who co-produced, co-wrote K-pop Demon Hunters. And I am proud of our Korean Canadian sisters. Let's give it up for them. They are culture makers, and you are a culture maker for what you are doing in releasing all of these novels, and they are not just stories, but inspirational journeys that allow us to imagine something better and greater even for ourselves. So congratulations on this achievement, and I have a congratulatory scroll to present to you, and I'm just so proud that someone who used to be a Willowdaler, even though you've gone to, you're still a Torontonian, but we are so proud of you. So let's give it up one more time for June Hur. Thank you. Yeah. Proud of you. Amazing. Oh, yes.
Before you leave the stage, we're actually going to do a group photo because it's not. Oh, okay, perfect. Yes, if we could come down the stage, and then we're just going to get organized for a group photo. Because it wouldn't be Asian Heritage Month without a group photo. And if you prefer not to be visible in the photo, please feel free to turn around or cover your face. And if everyone could please remain seated so that no one's blocked. Is everyone visible? I'd like to now take a moment to highlight that tonight's evening has been shaped with Korean connected details throughout. We have the Korean drumming, Pansori, Korean tea, floral and vase arrangements, and a dedicated team of artists, performers, volunteers, and friends to help bring the event together. So first, we'll begin with Korean drumming. The Keunbeat Nanta team is made up of Korean Canadian youth ages 12 to 18. And the team was created to help second and third generation Korean youth connect with their cultural roots through Korean Nanta percussion. So tonight's performance is coordinated by Reverend Susan Lee Kim. Please join us in welcoming the Keunbeat Nanta team. so much to the Keunbeat Nanta team for such a moving performance. Our next cultural feature is Pansori, a traditional Korean storytelling performance form. And we have Dr. Sangah Lee, is a Toronto-based ethnomusicologist, Pansori artist, and founder of the Canada Pansori Center. There's also a personal connection here. Dr. Lee performed at June's previous book launch, and afterwards June joined her Pansori class and later performed with the community. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Sangah Lee.
Hello, everyone. Hi. My name is Sangah Lee. I'm a Pansori singer. Pansori is a Korean storytelling tradition, so it means so much to me, and I'm so honored to be able to sing in this occasion that celebrates the new launch of June's book, Behind Five Willows. Pansori is presented by a singer and a drummer, and it also requires the voices from the audience. And you can do so by just remember these two words, 얼씨구. Oh, somebody knows how to do it already. And the second one is 좋다, which means great. So why don't we practice before we do? 얼씨구! Ooh, better than I expected. 좋다! 얼씨구! 좋다! 예쁘다! Thank you. You can say 예쁘다 all the time. Okay, the first song I'm going to sing today is called Sangah, the love song. And here we have a drummer, Joey Lee. Okay, here we go. 그때여 도련님이 춘향을 업고 사랑가로 즐긴 한디 이리 오너라 업고 놀자 이리 오너라 업고 놀자 사랑 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 내 사랑이야 사랑 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 내 사랑이지 내 사랑이루다 매도 내 사랑아 내가 무엇을 먹으려느냐 둥글둥글 수박 옷봉지 떼뜨리고 강릉백청을 따르르르르르르르 부어씨는 발라버리고 붉은 점 움푹 떠 반간진수로 먹으려느냐 아니 그것도 나는 실소 그러면 무엇을 먹으려느냐 앵도를 주랴 포도를 주랴 귤병 사탕에 해와당을 주랴 아니 그것도 나는 실소 그러면 무엇을 먹으려느냐 당도 엉질질 오지허니 외가지단 참 왜 먹으려느냐 지금 덜덜 개살구 작은 희도령 서는 뒤 먹으려느냐 아니 그것도 나는 실소 저리 가거라 뒤태를 보자 이리 오너라 앞태를 보자 아짱아짱 걸어라 걷는 대를 보자 빵그도 서라 이 속을 보자 매도 내 사랑아 이에 춘향아 나도 너를 업었으니 너도 날 좀 업어다오 아이고 도련님은 나를 가벼워서 업었지만은 나는 도련님이 무거워서 어찌 없는단 말씀이오 얘야 내가 널 다려 날 무겁게 업어달라더냐 내 양팔만 네 어깨 위에 얹고 징검징검 걸어다니면 그 속에 천지우락 장막이 다 들었느니라
이제는 춘향이가 도련님을 업고 노는디 파급이 되어 마구 당분자로 꼬놀겄다. 둥둥둥 내 낭군 오호 둥둥 내 낭군 둥둥둥둥 오호 둥둥 내 낭군 도련님 불렀고 보니 좋을 호자가 절로 나 부용자약에 모란화 담하 봉접이 좋으시고 소상 동정 칠백일생을 보아도 좋을 호로구나. 둥둥둥둥 오호 둥둥 내 낭군 달아 달아 밝은 달아 이야 물이 바쁘어도 저 안에 멈춰있어 내일 나로지 말고 백년여 이리 밤같이 이 모양이 이대로 늙지 말게 허여다오. 사랑이로구나 내 사랑이야 어둥둥 내 사랑.
Okay, my next song is a collection of a medley of some minyo. Minyo is Korean traditional folk song. I will first start by singing a farmer song, 동부가, and then 뱃노래, the boat song. And when we get to the second song, which is boat song, I'm going to need your participation. I mean, really this time. So whenever I pass my mic, that's your cue to shout or sing along. Oh yadia, right? Oh yadia, oh yadia, oh yadia. Okay, hold on to that. It will come in the second song.
다리여 다리여 내 다리여 어머니께 눈 냄비가 반달만 가본데 이가 무슨 반달이냐 저새 다리 반달이로나 하여 나 점심밥우리 들어온다 하여 So this is the 뱃노래. 오기야 디어 차 오야 디야 어기여 차 뱃머리가 잔다 안경참 어예 해주시리요 달래기로 벌써 참고 싸워간다 누나 어디야 디어 차 어야 디야 어디여 차 뱃놀이가 짠다 어이야 디야 어기야 디야 어기야 디야 거기가 어디냐 숨은 바우다 숨은 바우면 배다 칠라 배다 치면 큰일 난다 한나야 누나 영영하라 어디야 어디야 Can I have Sori members come to the stage? Sori members! 아리 June, please come to the stage. 아라리가 난데 come to the stage. Sori members, 야 아라리가 난데 또다 sing along with me. 저 다리 엇따지도록 또 나가세 아라리가 난데 만성 상하에 둥둥둥 뜬데 거기여 차 어야리여 나도를 저러 Surprise!
Should have studied harder.
Don't go yet, don't go yet. So this is Sori community. Sori means voice, and we started this Sori community last year as a core project of Canada Pansori Center, and we gathered together to sing along, share our own culture, and connect with each other. So if you like singing, if you love arts, then please join us. And we have some exciting news. We can skip that. We have some exciting news. We are having a concert, like small summer coffee house concert on June 13, 6 p.m. and at Tabang Luna. So it's free admission. So just come and say hello, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee, for that moving performance, and for Sori team for making an appearance. All right, now we come to the heart of tonight's evening. And before we welcome June and Sarah to the stage, we have a short message from someone who's been a part of June's journey for many years. So please turn your attention to the screen. Once upon a time, in a faraway land called San Diego, there was a little assistant editor just trying to survive her first Comic-Con. During her free time, she opened a manuscript submission called 10,000 Rivers, written by a debut author. Suddenly, she was not in San Diego anymore. Instead, she was on a rain-swept street deep within a city blanketed in a mist in 19th century Korea. Even as she read on, the little editor had no idea that the book she was reading would change her life. That book became The Silence of Bones. I feel like I have a story that goes with each of June's books. The Forest of Stolen Girls turned out to be my mom's favorite book ever, which connected us deeper. And I think maybe finally helped her understand just what the heck my job is. Let's see, the Red Palace protected my sanity when I was stuck in the ER with appendicitis. And A Crane Among Wolves made me feel like I wasn't alone in all my rage and sorrow. The kind that all women feel at some point in this world. And now here we are at Book 5, Behind Five Willows, a love letter to readers and writers everywhere. Because that's what June's books do. They transport readers to another time. Yes, they gift us with connections to both the past and the present. They feel like you're not alone, if only for a few hundred pages.
So June, congratulations on your 5th copy. I hope you know how much you and your books mean to me and to all of your other readers, past, present, and future. Not only are you ridiculously talented, you are without a doubt one of the kindest, most generous souls I've ever had the honor to meet. I know I've made this silly joke to you 100 times at this point, but girl, I would publish your grocery list. So have an amazing time. I'll be down here in the States wishing I was there too, but at least I have a great book to read to distract me from my phone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Emily, June's editor, for that message. And we're also delighted to have June's literary agent, Amy Bishop-Wycisk, with us here today. Amy has supported June's work and also represents Sarah Suk, and she'll be joining June and Sarah for tonight's conversation. And, actually, if you three could please make your way up to the stage. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. First, I'll introduce the woman of the hour, June Hur, a New York Times bestseller and Edgar Award-winning author of The Silence of Bones, The Forest of Stolen Girls, The Red Palace, A Crane Among Wolves, and tonight's launch title, Behind Five Willows. And joining her in conversation are Sarah Suk and Amy Bishop-Wycisk. Sarah Suk is an award-winning author of young adult novels, including Made in Korea, The Space Between Here and Now, and Meet Me at Blue Hour. She is also the co-writer of John Cho's middle grade novel, Troublemaker. And Amy Bishop-Wycisk is a literary agent at Trellis Literary Management. She represents both June and Sarah and has supported June's work across her publishing journey. Please join me in welcoming June, Sarah, and Amy.
Right. Hi, June. Hi, Amy. I feel like we all need to take a beat. I feel like during Emily's video, they were like tearing up. And then during the drumming, I was like, oh my God, I'm crying. I'm literally crying. Like, oh my God, I'm crying right now. So we just need to take a moment, take a breath. But I'm so excited to be here with both of you today. I feel like I need to share how this actually came to be. So June posted on her Instagram, like, a while back, she posted that she secured her venue for her launch and she was so excited about this venue. And I just wrote her and was like, oh, I wish I could be there. That sounds so great. And she was like, I know, if you were closer, I would have loved to have you as my in-conversation partner. And I was like,
my dream in conversation
dream. Did everyone hear that? Dream. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just fly over for it? And she was like, what? And then shortly after that, Amy, our agent, told me, she was like, hey, Sarah, I'm actually going to be at June's launch because I'm going to surprise her. I'm going to fly into Toronto and surprise her. And I was like, what? And now the three of us are on stage together. So that's how that happened. And we're so happy to be here. A lot of support from Bosco. So shout out to Bosco for making this happen. So I am really excited to be here to talk to you about your latest release, Behind Five Willows. I love this book, and I have so many questions for you. I'm sure people here also have questions. There will be an audience Q&A towards the end, so if you have questions, make sure to hold on to them, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. So please tell us about Behind Five Willows.
So Behind Five Willows, it's like a loosely reimagined Pride and Prejudice set in Joseon Dynasty Korea. Yes, that is what the book's about.
In an author letter that you wrote about the book, you said something along the lines of, you believe there comes one story in every writer's life that feels as though it's been calling to them for years, and this is that book for you. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I first pitched the story to my editor, we pitched it as Pride and Prejudice with murder. Yes.
Because all of June's books have to have a little murder.
Yes. But then this time my editor's like, June, I thought, you said you always want a challenge. How about you write Pride and Prejudice, but with no murder?
What a concept.
I know. I remember when I read that email, I had cold sweat. I'm like, I cannot. And I think I emailed you and I was just like, Amy, what are we gonna do?
And you figured it out.
Yeah. So I feel like as writers, it's like always good to always challenge ourselves and to grow in our craft. So I was like, okay, let me try writing Pride and Prejudice and make it sparkly and fluffy. And I think when I called this book, like that one book that, what did I write again?
I believe the quote was, the one book in every writer's life that feels as though it's been calling to them for years.
So calling to me for years, because the reason why I fell in love with writing in the first place was because when I was 13, I struggled in English class. I thought books were boring, and my dad really believed that if I could fall in love with reading, then my grades would go up. And so, he brought me different books, and then finally I read Pride and Prejudice, fell madly in love with it, and that's when I began writing. I wrote my fan fiction of Pride and Prejudice, and then since then, that was the world that I loved to be in, but I left it for several years to write my Korean historicals. But while I was writing Korean historicals, I kept missing that world of Austen, but I didn't know how to bring those two worlds together until I was like, wait, there's so many parallels between Jane Austen's Regency era and the latter half of Joseon Dynasty Korea. There's huge differences, but also similarities, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. And a lot of women, even back then, a lot of oppression, even in Joseon Dynasty, but also Regency England. And I was like, I think I could let these two worlds collide. And so in that sense, this story feels like I'm kind of coming home, back to my roots, which is Austen, but this time kind of reclaimed because I'm telling it through the lens of a Korean history.
Oh, what a full circle book for you. Amy, as June's agent, what was your first impression when June came to you with this idea?
So the original idea did have more murder in it, obviously, and I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. But I guess I would say, as an agent, I read a lot, and I have read many different kind of pitches for a Pride and Prejudice, retelling or adaptation, and there's only so many times you feel like you can write the same story over and over. And then I read June's and was like, I love this one, and I think June is right. There are so many parallels, and I feel like you just gave it a whole new, beautiful life, and I think this is Austen in a way that people have never really gotten to see Austen before, but with that really special June Hur twist to it.
So you touched on those kind of parallels between Austen and Korean history. So what was it like to reimagine Jane Austen in a Korean historical context? Were there any specific challenges or surprises that came up during that process?
Lots of challenges, because in Pride and Prejudice, Darcy and Elizabeth they chit-chat in ballrooms and in Netherfield, but in Joseon Dynasty Korea, you're not allowed to be together. Men and women cannot associate with each other. And so that was the challenge. It's how do I get two people to fall in love when they're forbidden to even talk with each other or look at each other? And so I had to find creative ways around this, and that's how the idea of the Five Willows bookshop came into mind. Back then, because of this edict called 문체반정, there was a ban on novels and ban on writing novels. And it's a complex policy, but those were two of the things that were banned. And so I'm like, what if I have a bookshop that almost serves as a speakeasy? And this is the one place men and women kind of are able to congregate together, and that's how it's at the bookshop that the two characters fall in love. So that's how so that bookshop became Netherfield in a sense, and it became the ballroom.
Oh, wow, that's fascinating. I think that the bookshop too becomes such a centerpiece and crux of the story. And kind of what you just mentioned right now with the book banning and the censorship, that is such a core topic in the book, and one that I really gravitated towards, not just because of how you executed it, which was so intriguing, but also because it's such a prevalent and relevant issue still today with book banning. So I was curious, how did you navigate that topic, and was there anything you're hoping to explore through this book with that?
So for me, when I was writing about censorship and book banning, I actually, I believe books are always political, but when I was writing this book, I was exploring it through the mindset of more of a history nerd. I was just looking at the facts where there was censorship, there was book banning, and so what I do in my writing is I just try to just share the facts, and I feel like history is always relevant. And so I I was, writing about these novelists in Joseon Dynasty Korea who just loved writing, but they would be punished for writing novels. And I was like, wow, if we were all in that period, we would all be criminals, because we're here for a novel, celebration of novel and art and things like that. And I think the one thing regarding censorship that I really explored was the fact that, like, books are a safe space for us to explore and to wrestle with difficult ideas. And the world is so vast, filled with so many diverse people, there will always be ideas and thoughts that we disagree with, but it's important to know it. And so in the book, there's this, this passage where the heroine is like, she's like, women grew up very isolated within their women's quarter. And so it's this idea that you should be able to look beyond that wall and see the world, see how diverse it is, and that people have ideas that you might disagree with, but knowledge is power. We should not fear knowledge. And it's important to, step outside of that bubble. So that's kind of what I focused on.
Yeah, I feel like as I was reading this book is like a book that reminds you how much you love books.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's really that, not just because it's such a fantastic book and I loved reading it, but because the characters in the book have such a deep respect for writing and such a passion for it. I remember there was a part where the main character, Haewon, she mentions, like, as soon as she wakes up, she like wants to pick up a book and like rifle through it. And I was like, wow. That's how I feel about this book. Yeah, so I was like reading it in bed. It's like 1 a.m. And then I just wake up and I was like, oh, I want to pick it up again. So I feel like in so many respects, this book is like a book that really reminds you how much you love books. I know it's hard to pick, but Amy, if you had to pick one favorite part of Behind Five Willows, what would you say it is?
I've had to phrase this very carefully in my head so I don't spoil it for anyone who's not quite done yet. But I think a favorite scene of mine is certainly when Haewon is defending Black Lotus, and there's just like a really beautiful passage in there about that talks about like principles and what like the written word kind of means and what it means to maybe lose yourself by taking a risk and putting yourself in danger to save the thing or the person that you love very dearly, and that has really touched me.
I'm so glad. I would love to ask you, what made you fall in love with writing and writing books? Because we're here to celebrate you too.
Oh yes. I think that for me, it's hard to say. I feel like for me, writing was just part of my life always. It's like one of those things where it was almost less of like something that I really want to do, but something that I just felt like I needed to do. It's like how I express my thoughts. I journal a lot, so it's like how I process things, how I convey things, how I translate my experiences into something that I can understand. So it's just like this need to write and to share things into words, even if it's just for me or meant to be shared. But also at the same time, like I love fan fiction. I wrote K-pop fan fiction, and I think that got me further in, and then reading, and I loved lots of shows. I love Digimon. That was like a big source of inspiration. So I think just like consuming art, and then just the way that I think I'm wired too, which I feel like a lot of artists can resonate with. That feeling of it's like a need, or it's just part of you, right? It's how you express yourself, and even if no one ever read it, it would still be part of me, which I'm sure you feel the same way. And I think our characters also feel the same way. So I would love to talk more about Haewon and Seo-jun. So I would say my favorite part of the book are the characters and the romance. And that's kind of cheating because that's basically the whole book. But I feel like it's so interconnected together, you can't really talk about one without the other. So let's start with talking about the characters. And Amy mentioned Black Lotus, which is something I want to touch on too. But first, please introduce Haewon and Seo-jun to us and tell us how it was getting to know them.
So when I was initially writing the book, I'm trying to imagine what would a Korean Mr. Darcy and Korean Elizabeth Bennet be like. And when I was writing the book, I was just like, this feels too insta-lovey. I don't know, they only know each other for a few weeks. I'm like, how can you really say you're in love with each other? And I had to figure out how to make it really convincing. And I decided, what if they had already formed a deep friendship before they'd even met? And so I decided, let's make, since Darcy in Pride and Prejudice, if you've read it, he is a man who loves writing letters. Like the first time he unbares his soul to Elizabeth Bennet is through letters. And I was like, I could center the love story actually around pen pals. And so they're actually pen pals long before they meet. And when they meet, they don't know that they are each other's pen pals. And so they start off on a rough footing where she thinks she loves novels and she assumes that he hates novels and thinks they're, he's very snobby and thinks novels should be banned. So that's the prejudice that she starts off with, and that's how I kind of shaped the dynamic between them.
So he is secretly an author.
Oh yes, he is Black Lotus.
Yes, he is Black, and his secret identity is Black Lotus, and she is his transcriber, and her secret identity is Magpie. These are not spoilers. It's literally in the jacket copy, by the way. Just letting everyone know, I'm not spoiling anything huge. Actually, if I was to really pick a favorite part, it's probably like the Black Lotus Magpie dynamic, because I love secret identities. I love when the secret identities fall in love and they don't know that the other person is who they think they are. I just love it. I do love it. And I love the romance, I think, because of those elements and because of the yearning, the build up, the slow burn. I feel like the way you write romance is very much the way that I love to read romance. So I was actually quite surprised that you're breaking out into a cold sweat thinking about writing the romance. I want to hear more about that. How did you craft their love story?
Sarah, can I also just say that when I finished the book, I texted June and I was like, we are gonna have to pay for so many therapy bills. The people are gonna go crazy for this one. So.
I think so. It's one of those romances. You read a good romance book when as soon as you finish, you go back to your favorite love story. Yeah, you know.
So I'm so glad you guys think I wrote the romance well, because I think that was my greatest insecurity as a writer, because for the first 10 years when I was trying to get published, I kept getting rejected. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not, because I actually wrote romance novels for the first 10 years. And I was like, maybe I'm not a good romance writer. So when I first landed representation with Amy, it was for a dark crime thriller with no romance in it, because I'm like, I'm not good at romance. So as I kind of gained more confidence in writing romance, what I realized was I actually like romance when it's a subplot. So not making romance the front and center, but making readers hunger for more. So even in Behind Five Willows, even though I say it's 80% romance, the central story is actually a story about it's Korean history, it's about censorship, it's about the love of book and literatures, and about the secret bookshop. And then the romance is kind of woven in through it, but it's not the main thing. And so I think for me personally, that's the kind of romance I love in K-dramas, where it's you keep watching the drama and you're I want them to, I need more scenes with them. So that's kind of the feeling I'm trying to capture. And I actually watch K-dramas with my notepad. I'm watching and I take notes. I'm whenever something makes my heart go oh my gosh, this is so romantic, I dissect it. I'm why am I feeling this way? Let me analyze it, and then I try to capture that same feeling in my book as well.
Yeah, I think that's such an accurate description of what you do in this book, kind of braiding all those elements together, the Korean history, the censorship, the love story, and it all comes together very beautifully. I guess that goes to my next question I'm curious about. Of course, there's Jane Austen, but what other books or K-dramas specifically did you look to for inspiration with those romantic moments, the romance element?
So the dramas I always, they're kind of my most iconic dramas that I just rewatch again and again. And I don't know if anyone has watched it because it's really old, but has anyone watched Dongi? Dongi? No. Oh, there's a few, yes. Jewel in the Palace, it's so old. Yeah, okay, a few people. So I think those are the classics for me, and I rewatch that. It's like when you have a good book, you go to it again and again to study why is it good. And has anyone watched The Red Sleeve? Okay, yes, that was good. Yeah, so those are like the 3 dramas that I kind of watched and kind of picked apart.
Yeah, it's true. We all have classics that we always go back, like me and Digimon. Yeah.
Do you still watch it?
I
Rewatch
like
it?
to do a semi-regular rewatch. It's been a while, but I have a daughter now, so I'm just waiting for the day when she will understand what she's seeing, and then we can watch it together. That's exciting for me. So in your acknowledgement, speaking of characters, you mentioned that Magpie, Sewon's transcriber name, and Mistress Wall, who owns the bookstore, are inspired actually by Amy and your editor, Emily, who we saw. I'd love to hear more about that.
Don't make me cry on stage.
So probably you know too, it's not easy to break into the publishing industry. It took me over 10 years, lots of rejections, and I almost, for a year I actually gave up on writing. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm never gonna get published, and I have to be okay with it. But then I finally gave it another try, and I finally wrote my Korean historical. And even when I began querying, which is when you're like reaching out to agents, trying to land representation, because you need an agent to get you published into the big publishing houses. I thought no one would be interested, but my agent kind of found me, and she believed in my story. And I think as when you're a writer and you struggle with a lot of like self-doubt, it means so much when someone believes in your work. I'm a crier. Yeah, it means so much when someone believes in your work and will champion you. And Amy has been championing my work for years now. Like how long?
2017. I had to look it up before I got here because I was like, they're gonna ask.
Yeah. So since 2017, she's been championing my work, and so that has meant so much to me. And so when I think of people like Mistress Wall in Behind Five Willows, she is a champion of books. Like she will fight for her books, and that's kind of who so when I was like trying to develop her, I was just like I love basing it on like different people in my lives, and I was just like, you know what, I have this really fierce agent, and I'd love to create a woman in my book who loves books and will fight for books. And so I kind of based the bookseller, book shopkeeper on my agent. And then for my editor, she has been also championing my work. She like edits and works on my books, so like she puts so much time and effort into just bringing my book to life. And I remember there was a time when I was writing my second sophomore novel, when I wrote the first draft, I actually Googled, like, how do you live with the shame of publishing a book you hate? Because I actually hated my second book.
It's a long Google search, yeah.
And so I sent the draft to my editor, and I thought she would be like, I hate it. But then she's like, she saw potential that I didn't see. And then she was like, June, this is like my favorite book out of, like, more than even your first book. And that meant so much to me. And so when I was thinking of Magpie, who is a transcriber of books, transcribers in the Joseon dynasty also edited the books as they transcribed it. So they edited, they also like refined phrases and things like that. And so when I was trying to think of how to shape Magpie, the editor, I thought of my editor. And I remember when we met her in New York, I don't think she knew why I was asking, but I was like, Emily, why did you decide to become an editor? Because I wanted to take her answers and weave it into Magpie's origin story. So yeah, these are my two champions in the publishing industry, and I knew this book would be about the love of literature and the love of novels, and so I'm like, I need to find a way to squeeze them into the pages. Yeah.
I love that so much. And Amy, I'd love to hear from you. You've been working with June since 2017. What first drew you to her writing?
Okay, now it's my turn to try not to cry. We're all criers, we're all weepers on the stage. So a little backstory, like I'm adopted, I'm an adopted Korean, and I think that June's book was sort of one of the first books that I'd seen both published and like kind of across my desk where I was like, oh, I could learn something about Korean history through June's work. And I was saying to Sarah earlier that like through June's books, each different book, like I have learned more about Korean history and developed an interest in Korean history, I think, in a way that I wouldn't have had a connection to otherwise. And I think that has been a really special part of working on your books with me, where I have felt like closer to the place that I was born through literature, right? Through words and through books, and something I love very dearly. And I kept thinking of like myself, and I was an avid reader, as like most people in publishing are, and I would go to the library and get my 10 little books every week and read through them. And I just thought about like how much it would have meant to me at 14, 15, 16 to go into a library, to go into a bookstore and see a book like June's on the shelf where the characters looked like me and like were set in the place that I was born and gave me an access point there. And that just felt so special and meaningful, and and also she's a really, really good writer, if you don't know that. And so it was like a combination of those things where it was a story I'd never seen before. I had this personal connection to it, and she was a really, really good writer. So that's only continued.
So this is your 5th published novel together. Question for both of you, but first for Amy, how do you feel like June has grown throughout the course of her career?
I say this all the time. Every publication, I really think she gets better and better every book. You can. One of the real like beauties and blessings of working with somebody over a long career is seeing how they change from the very first book with each progressive book. And for someone who was adamant that she was not doing a romance, she was not going to do any romance ever, 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 seeing it creep in and seeing her confidence grow there to this book, which is really 80% romance, and seeing how well you've done with it and thinking about the way you think about plot and character. And I think you just continue to deepen your craft with every single book and find new ways into Korean history and a new story that hasn't been told. And I think that's just like the mark of a really great author as well.
And June, from your experience, the journey of every book is so different. How would you say Behind Five Willows is different, or what was unique about that process in comparison to maybe your first or the ones in between, both in the process of writing and in releasing it out into the world?
So the writing part, it's very simple. All 4 of my books, whenever I cried, it was because I was traumatized for the characters. But for the 5th one was the first time I cried because I was just filled with so much joy.
You did cry a lot more with this one.
And the process of publishing it, I think I'm gonna keep crying. I think I shared it loosely on my social media, but it's been a very difficult year for me. But I felt like readers really supported my work a lot. The reason why I feel like the word about this book is spreading. It's not because of me, it's because readers have been loving the book and spreading word. And so it's taken a burden off of me. Like, I could focus on myself, my family, rather than focusing on like, oh my gosh, I need to promote it, and so it was a special book.
Yeah, I think the specialness of the book really comes through. Definitely, so much of what we talked about today, love of literature, love of Korean history, love of the people in your life that you pay such a wonderful homage to in this book, and love of your readers as well, it really comes through in this book, and I think people are really going to love it as much as I did, as much as you do, as much as we all will. So I think it's just such a fantastic book. And I want to get to audience Q&A soon, but is there anything you would like to share about what you're working on next or what readers can expect for you next?
All right, so
I already know, but
so I remember my agent and I were talking about like, what should my next book be? And the right course of action is to kind of build on this momentum. Like I wrote a light romance. The next book should be a light romance. It's a war book.
I think the quote from the email was, "Can I do more murder in the next book?" I want it to be really dark and really bloody, and I said, okay.
It's going to be very dark and very bloody, but very hopeful at the same time.
All right, so back to the
Carnage.
murder, everybody. Hope you're all excited for that one.
But there will be a romance.
Yes, there will be.
So
Oh, wonderful. As a sub, not the main plot, but the subplot. Yes, just the way we like it. Just the way we like it. Okay, I would love to open up to audience Q&A. Maybe if you ask a question, maybe I'll just repeat it to make sure everybody can hear. Or if there is a mic that's going around, that's also fine.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, thank you, June, Sarah, and Amy. We actually have we're testing something out for a different Q&A, and it's kind of cool because we can actually so we have the live code, and it pops up the question. So here's a question right away. Do you recommend reading Pride and Prejudice before or after Behind Five Willows?
I don't think you need to read Pride and Prejudice before. So if you haven't read it, it's okay. I did read it to refresh my memory and to analyze it, to be to pay as much respectful homage to Jane Austen as possible. But my goal was to still make the story stand on its own leg. So feel free to read it first, but I would love it if Behind Five Willows inspires in you a desire to actually read the classic as well. Because Jane Austen did it so much better. Like, she's so witty, she's so charming. So highly recommend reading Pride and Prejudice afterwards.
I found this one really interesting. Do you all have a favorite word or phrase in any language?
Any language. I would say 엄마, because my kids always call me mom in Korean, and now my son calls me mom or mommy. I'm like, no, I'm 엄마.
I think that there's like some words in Korean that like don't translate well to English. So I always like those words because it kind of feels like there's no direct translation. Like there's like like 답답해, which is like you're like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how to describe it. So it's like you're like frustrated, but it kind of also feels like a little suffocated. Like it kind of embodies like a bit of a feeling, or like 정, which is like a special kind of. I don't know. I'm trying to describe it. It's like, the reason I like it is because it's hard to describe. But chong is like a special connection that you like a deep connection that you have to a place or a person or something like that. So I like words that are difficult to translate into other languages, which I'm sure all languages have. Yeah.
Is there anyone in the crowd?
Or if they're gonna.
So here's another question. I think this is, you guys answer, I think it's more expanding on this. You already talked about it a bit more, but what does Korean representation matter to you in today's publishing landscape? I can't read that, so.
It says 축하해요. Do you want to start first? What does it matter?
Why does it? Oh, it's gone. Okay. It matters. Korean representation. Okay. Well, I actually shared this story earlier with somebody. But when I was a kid, and I was a kid who loved reading and writing, I wanted to be an author since I was young. I remember when I walked into my school library and I saw this book on the shelf called A Single Shard by Linda Sue Park. And I saw that book in my library, and I was like, oh my God, that's a Korean name on a cover of a book in my school library, and I had never seen that before. And I remember as a kid who dreamed of becoming an author, that was the first book that made me think like, oh, this could be real. Like it's not just like a dream, but it's like a real thing that could happen because this Korean author is doing it, then I could do it too. And I think that's why representation matters, because kids walk into libraries, they just look at something on the shelf and they leave after 2 seconds, but you don't know what that 2 seconds meant to them. And I think about that often, where on the outside it looked like probably nothing, but for me that's something that I kind of like held in my mind for so long. And I think that's really why it matters, because seeing yourself matters. Amy talked about that too. Seeing yourself matters, and it opens up your world, it opens up your past, it opens up your future. And I think that more people should continue to see themselves in books. And I love seeing Korean representation in books because there wasn't much growing up. There's more now. I think there can still be more tomorrow and the day after that. And that's, all of us are working towards that. And yeah, I think it matters because, we matter and our stories matter, right? And the same for everybody here. So I feel really happy to be celebrating this book today here in this context. Like, how amazing is that? I would never have imagined it as a kid, So it's really special.
And I think kind of building on that, for me, it's not just Korean representation, but seeing Korean books about Korea written by Korean Americans, Korean Canadians. Because I remember when I was like, am I allowed to write about Korean history? I saw books by Ellen Oh. She's a Korean American. She wrote a YA Korean historical fantasy in English. And when I saw her book, it felt like someone giving me permission. Like, I wrote that book, so my story is also allowed on the table. Like, I am allowed to tell my version of Korean history through a diasporic lens, so it felt like permission. So I think in that sense also representation matters, not just for first-gen Koreans, but also for those who feel like they are Korean, but also they don't know if they have a right to write about Korea. Yeah.
So one of the things is all the questions you're seeing here are from the room because the live stream is lagging behind on purpose. And so by the time we think we finish, the live stream will catch up. So apologies, live stream, if you're going, wait, why can't I ask a question? But I'm going to keep this up anyways. You can ask questions, and June can answer it on her Instagram and other places, I'm sure. But here's a fun question. You published a short story on reincarnation. Maybe you can tell people about what this is. Some people know, some people don't.
So in Joseon Dynasty Korea, they had this belief that, reincarnation. And so I kind of played on it, and I was like, okay, the characters from A Crane Among Wolves, the couple, what if they reincarnated and they're also the main couple in the Red Palace? And so I kind of played on the idea of reincarnation. And all my books are standalones, but using this, now it's canon, using this theory, I'm just like, it's also a series technically. Yeah.
Someone else has, please write a series.
No, but I can't actually write a series. My brain just ends at the book I write.
Did I throw this question up already? What was your favorite scene in Pride and Prejudice, and did you include it in Behind Five Willows?
Okay, so my favorite scene was Darcy's first disastrous proposal. I adored that scene in the book. I remember when I was seeing it in the 1995 adaptation, I was just like, oh my gosh, my heart was beating so fast. But also I was just like, oh my gosh, disaster. So yes, there is a Korean version of it in Behind Five Willows.
Was there historical fact or events, this one Will, or event that you discovered while writing the book that was mind-blowing?
Oh, yes, because I did a lot of research on the book culture of Joseon Dynasty Korea, and so I think for me, as someone in the publishing industry, it's so mind-blowing to see that there were voracious novel readers in Joseon Dynasty Korea. I saw actual records that claimed that noble women would go broke from borrowing books. And I'm just like, I think a lot of us can relate to that. And another thing was that they would leave so many annotations in the book that it would be you couldn't even read it because there's just so many drawings and notes in the margin. And those kind of things, I'm just like, oh, it's so beautiful as someone who annotates as well. I'm like, wow, not much has changed from then and now. And so I think that that's something that I found very beautiful when I was researching.
Book lovers forever.
I mean, people who come to book events tend to be book lovers, but we've discovered a lot of, usually aspiring authors who come to book events. Like you yourself, you would come to an event before. So what's your number one piece of advice for aspiring authors? I think because you have Amy here, we might know.
I guess we could end with this question then.
Yeah, exactly.
So one piece of advice, I would say, find trusted writers that you would share your writing with, because I think one of the hardest things to overcome as writers is being vulnerable enough to share what you've written with, whether it's friends or colleagues. So find a trusted writing community and start sharing.
I think my number one piece of writing advice, or advice for aspiring authors, is if you feel like it's hard, you're doing it right. Yeah, I think if you feel like you're having a hard time, or you feel like, am I doing it right? Like, am I just like, it's always so hard, and I like feel like I suck, you're doing it right. If you're getting rejected, you're doing it right. Yeah, we all feel that. We feel that still. You heard June's story about, taking 10 years and all those rejections. I think I've amassed like over 100 rejections as well on my writing.
I have like 1A and 1B, and 1A is sort of piggybacking off June's, which is like find community, find writing community. It really sustains you. There can be great critique partners down the line, but you want to be a good literary citizen in addition to being a writer. It can't be just you in your writing cave. Like, you have to support the local writing community, be part of it, be in conversation with other writers and other readers. And I would say my second one is it is all about, at the end of the day, it's about the story you write and your craft, and there's a lot of other noise around publishing and how to get an agent and how to get an editor, but it really comes down to the quality of your writing and the story you're telling, and blot out the other noise.
I think those kind of go hand in hand, exactly like Amy said. You will get rejected, but it's your community and the people that will help you get better when you share it, and you will, kind of lift each other up, which I really believe is, writing community at its best, I think, when we lift each other up. And and if you get rejected, welcome to the club. We're all part of that club. Yeah, every author you have read is part of that club. So if you are aspiring and that's you, you are right where you belong.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bosco.
Welcome. Thank you so much for those questions, everyone, and really thank you for so many people who've been here. Thank you, June. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Amy, and for those who have not met yet, my name is Bosco. So you're like, wait, who's that Bosco I actually mentioned? I'm June's husband and one of the people helping make tonight happen. And so before we move into the signing, I want to offer a few thanks as well. So thank you, Toronto Public Library, especially Mira Nagpal, for hosting the Asian Heritage Month program and making space for this launch here at North York Central Library. I just really love this full circle moments when June has been working here, because I used to, when we were dating, I would visit June at the library all the time. And so, cause she's also just working in the library as PSA, sitting in the front desk, and I'll just wait for her to get off. And so now it's our first event hosting in the library. We've actually not done one before, I think, here. So yeah. Look, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councillor Lily Cheng, for joining us this evening, presenting a scroll. Mayor Olivia Chow is also having a scroll coming as well, and she's just going to make it right now. Thank you for the Keunbeat Nanta team, Reverend Susan Lee Kim, and to Dr. Sangah Lee and the Canada Pansori Center. Honestly, every time June comes back from the Pansori class on Wednesdays, literally her class is across the room. It's in that little room over there, and she's beaming. She loves it so much, and it's not because we're not promoting it. It's a purely personal experience, because for her, watching her, I don't know if I want to join, to I love this. So I just love seeing that. And so thank you, class, for surprising her today. She had no idea, so many surprises, right? And helping us mark this launch through Korean cultural performance. Thank you, Sarah Suk, for joining us, for flying all the way in, for Amy Bishop for coming all the way here. I love that when you told me you're surprising, I'm like, yes. So June only found out this morning. I don't know if they shared. So it's this morning, and it was her first time. She had no idea. which I love. This is why I love surprising June. and for Type Books is here for being our book selling partner. Books are by June and Sarah are both available for purchase here, and some of them, if they run out, you can always go on the website and get some books as well. That way, in the program, I have some more other links if you need to find other places. And we live in Toronto. If you need her to sign, she has a Markville event coming up. You can come and check her out. Thank you for everyone who helped make this evening happening. Grace Park, Molly Hay, Philip Marr, Sean Jennings, Honey House for the vase, Fila Flora for the flowers, Sucha, our volunteers, friends, and family. But most of all, thank you for coming here tonight. A launch is not really a launch until readers gather around the book itself, and it means a lot to celebrate Behind Five Willows with you here tonight. So just to give you some signing instructions, we're going to go move into that right now. If you would like your book signed, if you already have a book, you can line up here on this side of the wall, and so where they are standing, and June will be here, Sarah will be there on the side table too if you want a book signing from Sarah. We'll have sticky notes available, so then you can write your name clearly for personalization. And to help the line move well, keep the conversation brief while others are waiting. There'll be a time for photos and longer hellos once the line slows down a little bit. But a reminder that this auditorium needs to be cleared by 8:15 p.m. because I know, because the library closes at 8:30. But here's the thing: if the conversations or signing needs to continue after that, I mean, the mall is right next to here. There's a food court. We're not running away. So June, I'm gonna pull her and say, hey, our kids are here, but we're gonna send them back home first early. And so if you need to be around to come and chat a little longer, June's gonna be around. So this room though needs to be cleared, but outside, just foyer, no problem. And yeah, so for those joining us online, thank you so much for joining tonight's launch. We're grateful you celebrate with us. And thank you again, everyone. And please join us for book signing and one of the things that we really wanted to make sure, the reason why the tea was there was that because as they're having tea on stage, you're having tea as well. But there's lots of tea in the back. We've steeped it. It's for you, and it keeps you awake if you want some. But you can have some tea as well in the back. But thank you so much.
Yeah, it's cool. It's pretty smart how they did it. I think because there's no lag, I can hear it. There's like a feed. Yeah. It's all good. John. John. Yeah, you can call me John.
Spell that.
J-U-N. Oh, man, nice to meet you.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, and Boston used to work with At one point, we were all colleagues. We're working closely together for payroll. We had a 3-hour meeting yesterday. I'll be working, but I'll be on my own.
So the meeting that you put is next week.
It is on.
Oh, hello. You both touched the same part of the chart at the same time. See that?
Keeps rubbing your eyes.
Great job.
Thank you.
Good
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, you did so great.
Oh, thank you. You did too. Everything. Like the timing. Yes.
Good job, Chris. You did great.
Like we were on schedule.
Yeah, I know. I tried. At first, I was like, oh, it should be okay, but then I realized people probably don't know the time, so then I chose them like 5 minutes before.
No, honestly, that was so stupid. Yes, it was so stupid. Get some rest.
Yeah. You want to say bye to June?
She's busy right now.
I think she'll be here.
Okay, let's just. She's getting this.
Do you want me to hold it? See you guys. See ya. Great job. Great job, you guys.
Good job, Grace. I wouldn't have done this if you weren't here.
It was nice to meet you.
No. I had fun. I felt like I was working again at the office, at the counselor's office. This is exactly what it feels like every day.
There was only one thing I needed to do.
What?
You get to meet Lily.
Oh, wait, where were you?
I was here just watching her from a distance.
Oh. Hey. They're fans.
I'm a part of the fan club.
Fan club. Hi, Kevin. Oh, roommate. It's for like.
So that's our stand, right? No,
Yes,
you
yes.
can take it.
This stand is yours.
Great.
So, is the sandbag yours as well?
The sandbags are.
Okay, that's probably
I'm sure
Sean.
these are Sean's.
Yeah.
So I'll take that too. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you.